This episode of A Beacon of Hope is proudly brought to you by Campfire Studios. To find out more, visit campfirestudios.co.nz. 2, 3, 4. A Beacon of Hope is a weekly podcast that shines a light on the human spirit and explores the power of hope in our lives. Join me, Will Fleming, as I talk to people from all walks of life about where they find hope and how they use it to navigate life's challenges.
Be good, be safe, and be happy.
Hey everyone, at the time that you are hearing this, or at least the time that I released this episode on Wednesday the 19th, it will be one day after the 1-year anniversary of my late mother's passing. And in this deeply moving episode of A Beacon of Hope, I will share a rare and intimate glimpse into the life of my mother, who bravely faced a battle with cancer. As I said, it's been a year since her passing, and this marks the first time I've had the strength to listen to a full recording that we made together during that challenging time in her life. So join me as we journey back in time, retracing her incredible story of resilience and adaptation, from her early days in the Cook Islands to her arrival in New Zealand as a young girl who couldn't speak a word of English. Okay, just before we kick off with the podcast, I've got Mr. 15-year-old. Say hello.
Hey.
And he's become the in-house ukulele player around here. Now, I've asked him to work on a little track with me in honor of my mum before we get into this podcast. Here we go. This song is called Monsters by James Blunt, performed by me and old mate 15-year-old. Whoa, before they turn off all the lights, I won't read you your wrongs or your rights. Time is gone. Whoa, I tell you good night, close the door. I tell you I love you once more. The time is gone, so here it is. I'm not your son, you're not my mother. We're just two grown pals saying goodbye. And no need to forgive, no need to forget. I know your mistakes and you know mine. While you're sleeping, I'll try to make you proud. So mommy, won't you just close your eyes? Don't be afraid. It's my turn to chase the monsters away. Thanks, son. Love you.
Yep.
Say you love me.
Yep.
Say you love me.
Love you.
I love you, Mum. I miss you. Thank you for filling me full of hope. And thank you for being our beacon of hope in this episode. Okay. Full name, Raro name, and English name.
All right. My name is Elizabeth Rita Fleming, ni Erita Peta Hewitt.
And before we go back, just tell me the story about how you got your English name, Rita.
Nobody calls me Elizabeth. You know, half my family couldn't pronounce it anyway. So my grandmother decided to shorten my name. So from Erita Peta, Erita came Rita. So, you know, even though they shortened it, my name was Elizabeth, they shortened it to Rita, then they shortened it again to Ta.
Ta.
Yeah, so they, you know, so it was always Ta, Ta.
What was the most common name you went by growing up? Ta, was it?
Ta. Oh, no, Rita, you know, or Ta, yeah. My family all shortened it to Ta, you know. And then when I came to New Zealand, I used the name Elizabeth, of course, when I was going to school. And so that got shortened again. Instead of Rita, it got shortened again to Liz. So I didn't know where I was half of the time with all these names.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth was used all the time, except apart from the family. And my friends call me Lizzie or Liz.
You got so many names. You also got more than one birthday.
Yes, I have. That's a weird one. I always had my birthday on the 28th of July till I was going somewhere. I needed a passport. So I asked my mother for my passport, and I looked at it and it said the 13th of July. And I went, what? I can't believe this. And I asked her about it, and she said, no, you were born on the 28th because I should know. I had you. And I went, what the heck is this 13th doing here? And she said, my father registered me, and so he must have got it wrong. He must have got the date wrong. Must have been on the booze or something. I think he did make a mistake, because if it was the 13th, I think the day I registered would have been like the 14th, but it was some other date, And so he just couldn't remember, so he just put down any date. 13 was a good day for him, so he put that down.
And tell me about growing up. Where did you grow up?
I was born in Rarotonga. My family had left a little island called Maoke, and we went to Rarotonga. So all my sisters and brothers could go to school and get a better education, I suppose. I was in Rarotonga, went to school, primary school, till I was about 7, and then I hopped on a boat, and Moana Roa it was called, and we came over to New Zealand. That was pretty scary. That took 7 days, I think, to get here by boat.
Who'd you come with?
I came with my mother. We all had to come, like one by one. That's how my father could afford it. My father left first, and then next it was, being the youngest, I had to come with Mum. So there was Mum and I. But, 7 days of the trip, 6 days I was sick. Didn't enjoy the trip at all.
Around what time is this? What year?
This was about 1957.
And so, what was your dad's name?
James Hewitt.
And he came to New Zealand first for what? To
work, yeah.
Was that what lots of
that, they all did that. All the men came over. I remember men leaving the Cook Islands and heading off to New Zealand and working hard and sending the fare back home, and of course extra cash to keep the family going as well. And I remember my mother working for a week for 50 cents. That's amazing, eh?
What, could that get you anything?
Oh, it got us heaps. A packet of lollies was only like 1 penny, for a packet, and half a penny,
And how long was he in New Zealand before he sent for you guys to come?
He sent for us about, probably about 5 months, 6 months, because he had to find accommodation as well. It wasn't easy for him, I don't think, So he had to get a job, get an accommodation. He had a mate anyway that helped him out that was already here. Then he worked he was building the harbour bridge,
Right. And so your mum, what's her full name?
Her full name's Matakeu Te Autama.
Yeah.
Te Autama. She was 63 when she died.
And your dad?
My dad passed away when he was 52. Going back to that story, he worked very hard, and then he got the two of us to come over, and then they both worked hard. Then slowly my brother came, and then another 6 months go past, and then my sister came, and then another sister, and then the brother eventually,
And did everyone end up coming?
Yeah, everyone.
Over what, like a 2-3 year period?
Yeah, 2 years, say. So they got everyone across.
Sometimes I think, like, for your own kids, imagine if you had to, like, get us somewhere bit by bit. Horrible, eh?
Oh, I couldn't do it. Yeah. I couldn't do it. I didn't know. Right? I didn't know how they could have. Oh, you know, my grandmother was there, and she was pretty strong. You know. So
was that war?
Yeah, war.
So came to New Zealand, and like, were you good at school?
When I came over, I couldn't even speak a word of English. You mean how frightening that would be? Not speaking a word of English, and even to spell my name was pretty difficult. You know. It didn't take me long, you know, because every other kid spoke English. So, you know, you learn quick too when you're a kid.
Did it feel, what was New Zealand like back then? Were you kind of feeling like you were out of place, or was there a big Pacific community?
Oh, no, I felt out of place. Oh, it's huge. It was huge compared to where we'd come from. And we only had a little shack, you know, and then come back to this house that was 8 bedrooms or something.
Where was it?
It was in Grey Lynn. All the islanders moved straight to Grey Lynn in Ponsonby, you know. Yeah, they would have been all rich if they kept all their houses.
But why didn't they?
Why didn't they? Because, you know, somebody came along and said, oh, Avondale's a new subdivision and, you know, you should get out there and get yourself a brand new home, and they're trying to kick everybody out. And, well, which was true in a way, because it became...
Ponsonby
and Grey Lynn are the towns, you know.
Where did everyone move? West and south?
West and south.
Yeah. And where did you guys move?
We lived at Grey Lynn for a number of years. Then we went to One Tree Hill. And my uncle and my mother and father decided to buy a house because the house we were living in belonged to some old Scottish lady, and she was the landlady of the place, and we all lived there. So everybody decided, it was time to move out and get your own home, and so that's what we did.
And how old were you then?
I must have been about 11.
So between school starting and 11, kind of did a move, and I guess your English would have been perfect.
Oh, it was starting to get perfect. Yeah, it was really, quite good. And so I was still going intermediate when we moved to One Tree Hill. When I finished there, I ended up going to Onehunga High.
Oh, you went to Onehunga High?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You finished school?
Yeah, I did for 5th form. And
but was that quite common that you'd do that and then leave?
Oh, it was really common.
Because I guess the pressure was on to everyone work, was it?
It was very common that once you turned 15, you just left school, you know. If you didn't like school, you just left, and nobody ever really said, oh, no, I think, you know, you're clever in this, you should stay and get your degree and go to university and, you know, get your degree. But most of them just said, right, we're going to leave school and start working, because work was so plentiful.
Yeah. I mean, it was actually a good decision, right? Because you could earn money.
Yeah, I could earn money.
There was heaps of jobs.
And still get a good job, you know.
What was your first job?
I was working for a movie
theatre.
Yeah, movie office.
Oh, yeah. Just before we move on, what's that? You talked about movies, and I remembered you have a funny link with The Rock and his mum, because The Rock is a big movie actor.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't you go to school with his mum?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we went to Newton Central School, and plus the intermediate school, and and I used to wait for her every morning.
Yeah.
And she'd come past and go, right, you ready? Let's go to school.
Were you good friends?
And, we were very good friends. We used to walk to school every day.
But only as kids? Yeah,
only as kids. And then we lost contact as soon as I moved, you know, because I moved out of the area. And so they all went to Epsom Girls Grammar or Auckland Girls Grammar, and I moved in. I went to Onehunga High, and I think I was the only one there from my old school.
How'd you know it was The Rock's mum, though? Did you see her years later or something?
I found out through another friend that was Rock's mum. And I went, oh, my goodness, yeah. Because we were all friends, you know, like my friend, who I still keep in touch with, told me. And she hears from her all the time.
no pressure because I'm here, but what was I like when I was little?
Oh, hell of a naughty boy. So bad. Yeah, so naughty. No. No, he was just perfect.
I just went along for the ride, I think. Spoiled.
Yeah, no. You got spoilt because, well, why not? You are the baby. And we were thinking, wow, this is so neat. And Nana reckon that when you came along, it just changed her whole outlook on kids again, She just loved it, loved you.
Well, that's a bit of the story. You must be pretty proud of how
I am.
Everything. No, because
yeah.
if you think about it, you've probably before Nana or War, and then everyone wants the better for their kids, eh?
Yeah, they do.
And I mean, you'd have to say that your kids are living good. What would Nana think about everyone today? Do you reckon she'd be happy?
Oh, she'd be so proud. She would be proud that everybody has all grown up to be like achievers, doing so well for themselves and never have to worry about a thing. Oh, she would be proud, really proud of knowing that her grandkids are done so well. And she's partly her, she pushed everybody to do better, She would be, and me too. I'm pretty proud of everybody. All my kids are healthy and doing well. It's good. I'm pleased to see everybody's done so well.
Did Nana or Wawa or anyone in your family ever have really good advice? Or I kind of get the feeling that advice is a modern thing, eh? Like you just did stuff, right? Is that right? Or did she ever have advice to give you when things weren't going really well?
No, her main saying was always be good.
Hey, baby, don't eat the cat food.
Yucky.
Advice, don't eat cat food.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like it, baby, don't you?
Her advice was always be good, Don't let anybody treat you bad.
Are you hungry?
Just be good. Have a good life.
Would you pass that on to all of us listening?
Yeah, I pass it on from me to you. Be good. Be safe. And be happy.
That sounds like an Uncle Kato quote.
Yeah. Sounds like that song, doesn't it? Be happy.
All right, Mama, we stop there, right?
Yeah, okay. All right.
This episode of A Beacon of Hope is proudly brought to you by Campfire Studios. Campfire Studios is an impact-led organisation amplifying the voices of Māori and Pasifika communities via podcasting and video content. To find out more, visit campfirestudios.co.nz.
2, 3, 4. Thank you for tuning in to this frequency of hope in our podcast today. If you found value from this episode and want to hear more, I would love it if you could follow, subscribe, and rate our show. By doing so, you will increase the frequency of the Beacon of Hope. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other platform, please take a moment to hit the follow or subscribe button and leave a rating and review. I truly appreciate your support and feedback, and it helps us make our podcast even better. Thank you.
Be good. Be safe. And be happy.